All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to call to order the February 28, 2019 Plaquemines Parish Council meeting to order at 2:40. Ask for a roll call, please. Let the record reflect that 7 council members are present. Councilmember Newberry is absent, and so is Councilmember Bartholomew. Also, I want to welcome the parish president, his parish attorney, and all 3 of his directors. Thank you. We have no executive session. Let's move to proclamations. B1, please.
A proclamation declaring February 2019 as Mount Olive Baptist Church and Bethlehem Baptist Church Historical Landmarkers Month in the parish of Plaquemines.
Mr. Kainovich, you offer? And I'll second. Ms. Marcotte?
A proclamation declaring February 2019 as Mount Olive Baptist Church and Bethlehem Baptist Church Historical Landmarkers Month in the parish of Plaquemines. Whereas from 1955 to 1963, Mount Olive Baptist Church in Boothville housed the headquarters of the Plaquemines Civic and Political Organization Underground Voter Education Clinic. This underground right to vote movement was responsible for African Americans obtaining the right to vote in Plaquemines Parish. And whereas from 1930 to 1952, the Bethlehem Baptist Church transformed the church's sanctuary into a church school to educate African American children in Dalcour because of Plaquemines Parish de facto segregation. Bethlehem Baptist Church recruited local residents to become teachers who became known as ministers of education. And whereas the Mount Olive and Bethlehem Baptist Churches historical markers have been approved by the Louisiana Office of Tourism, Louisiana Historical Marker Program. And whereas Mount Olive and Bethlehem Baptist Churches will be unveiling historical landmarkers this month at their churches. And whereas February is Black History Month, which is about remembering the past and rejoicing in the future. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Plaquemines Parish Council, represented by its duly authorized chairman, W. Bo Black, and by concurrence of the parish president, Kirk M. Lapine, representing the Plaquemines Parish government, that it hereby declares February 2019 as Mount Olive Baptist Church and Bethlehem Baptist Church Historical Landmarkers Month in the parish of Plaquemines.
Mr. Kainovich? Any comments on the proclamation?
I'll leave that to Reverend Edwards.
Reverend?
Yes, thank you so much, Councilman. And I really want to thank former Councilwoman Nicole Williams, because she was very instrumental in getting these resolutions passed. And I want to thank, but we have the proud pastors of both of the churches here. And now that they come up and you could present the proclamation to Pastor Michael Wade Giles, a senior, and the mayor of downtown Boothville, Pastor Theodore Turner.
Do it up front.
Thank you. Pastor Turner, you guys want to make any comments? Mr. Giles? That's the first time, Mr. Giles.
Let me first thank all of you for this great and grand privilege you bestowed upon us, to this parish president, Mr. Lapine, and to you, Mr. Black, chairman, and to this wonderful council. I stand here with Pastor Turner, and we're just appreciative of you taking the time just to recognize our churches that serve our community so well, and we don't take it lightly. So we just want to say thank you. We know you didn't have to do it, but we appreciate you anyway. So God bless you.
Certainly, I'm piggyback on what Pastor Giles has said as it relates to our appreciation for honoring us and recognizing us in these efforts. Those who preceded us, we were not seeking privilege, but we were seeking parity. And today we see parity as we look at the diversity of this board. And we're so very proud of you guys and the awesome effort that you're doing to help make our parish a wholesome and healthy place in which to live. But once again, on behalf of Pastor Edwards, a gladiator and a warrior for the cause of all people, we thank you for even helping us to bring this to bear today. And then for those of you who helped brought it to fruition today, we appreciate you so much. And once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Appreciate the work you've done. You guys want to, Mr. Lapine?
I want to personally thank both of you, your pastors, Reverend Turner and Reverend Giles. And a little plug for Reverend Giles. We are having a 5 o'clock ribbon cutting at the Bethlehem Baptist Church, and Anybody on their way up, stop by. I'll be there with you guys. But congratulations. So I wonder if you get a picture with them, or you want to...
Sure, let's get, any other comments from the table before we take a photo? All right, with none, let's take a photo, yep. We can vote, yeah. Do I get a unanimous? Verbal unanimous? I got a verbal unanimous, thank you. Pass it. Huh? I never heard that. Yeah, that's Karen.
Look, we're going to need another one here. Yeah. So each church can have, each church, you want to y'all get in the middle. Y'all get in the middle with President Pastor Church. Once you get on the other side. Yeah, y'all get in the middle, yeah. No, you get in the middle of them. And let Mr. Lepine hold the, yeah, and each one of y'all can take that. Can some of y'all get on that side? Y'all so unbalanced. Yeah, we go. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Sit tight. We go again in 3, 2, 1. Get one more just in case. In 3, 2, 1.
And she's gonna get another one printed up.
This is labeled DA, but it's really in your district.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. We're going to skip over the status report right now. We have no bids and advertisements, to my knowledge. Let's go through the agenda real quick. Deferrals and withdrawals. Mr. Albro, Dr. Gouy. 6E is deferred, or? Mr. Russo?
6C, at the request of the administration, will be deferred one more time.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, 7D. I'll see Mr. Ned. So 7D is going to be,
Withdrawn.
it's to be deferred. Mr. LaFrance?
Item 6.3, withdrawn. Item 6T, deferred. I want to know if they are current on the sales tax and the money that's owed to the parish. I haven't had anyone contact me. That's it.
Mr. Blank?
I have none.
I'm not.
Got it, Rich. All right, and let's go through them one more time. We have nothing in 4. We have 6A1 is deferred. 6A3 is withdrawn. 6C is deferred. 6D is deferred. 6E is deferred. 6F is deferred. 6G is deferred. 6I is deferred. 6J is deferred. 6K is deferred. 7B is deferred. Yeah, D is, 7D is deferred as well. And I'm actually go back, G, we're going to open for discussion, that's all. All right, that's it.
Excuse
D
me,
was deferred.
Councilman Black, could you also defer H, O,
Hold on.
and S?
6,
Yes.
Yes? That's
F.
Sam?
Yes.
no, you said, no, not S,
H, O, and S.
okay?
That is Sam.
Why we defer an S? Your request?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, go through one more time real quick. 6A1, 3, C, D, E, F, H, I, J, K, O, S, T, 7B, 7D. All right, that's all. All right, status report, please, for the president. C.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last Thursday, the 21st, Director Epley and I toured the courthouse to check on the progress and where we are with the courthouse. We actually had a meeting that morning to decide on a dedication temporarily, or to put down on our calendars as June 27th. So we think with the work schedule, that's the council meeting we'll hold down in Point LaHash and have something, a dedication before the meeting. So as it goes now, we think we're on track for June 27th. Still got a little bit of work to do. We got some, I don't want to say problems, but some issues to take care of. But it's moving pretty rapidly. Congratulations to Reverend Turner and to Reverend Giles for that proclamation. This Sunday, there is a parade on the East Bank, starting at 9 a.m. at the Davant Community Center, ending at the Davant Community Center, starting on Highway 15. Next Sunday, on March 10th, there is a pause parade starting at Regions Bank and Rose through Bell Chase. It starts at noon. March 12th, the Sheriff Turlidge will start a new PPSO Citizen Police Academy. He asked me to make a plug for it because it's kind of important for the citizens and the community to get involved. I've been through it before, and I think it's a great way to see how the Sheriff's Office runs. So that's starting on the 12th, and it will be held every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. at the Crossroads Church. March 16th is the South Plaquemine YMCA will hold a Bonko party at the Burris Auditorium starting at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. That's just an early Bonko. 5 p.m. Thank you. I was just seeing if you were awake. You get the hearing aids on. You got it. Okay. Good thing. 5 p.m. March 22nd is the Special Olympics athletic track and field at the South Plaquemine High School starting, I think, at 10 a.m. I'm going to send a couple of congratulations out to the Bell Chase Girls High School basketball team. They made the playoffs. They lost in the first round, but they made the playoffs. The South Plaquemine's girls and boys basketball team made the playoffs, but they lost in the first round. But congratulations to them for making the playoffs. And the Phoenix High School boys are playing tomorrow, Friday in Natchitoches in the playoffs. So good luck to them guys, and have a great, successful season. And before I close, I want to say congratulations to Miss Newberry. She's not here today. She's awaiting the arrival of her first grandchild. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to Councilman Russo. On Tuesday, he became a grandfather for the third time and had his first grandson. So congratulations to you. And on that note, Mr. Black, you will no longer be the council member with the youngest children, because as of August, Mr. Arbro will be expecting a new baby. So congratulations to you and your wife. So you lose that,
That's fine. That means you can spend more time in the office now, believe me.
So I just want to congratulate all of you council members, and Mr. Bartholomew's not here, but get well soon, and we'll see you soon. But thank you, Mr. Black.
Thanks. Before I'm going to give Mr. Russo the opportunity to announce his grandchild, but Ms. Newberry did want us to, that it's Aspen, it's a girl, Aspen Monroe Newberry, 7 pounds and 20 and a half inches. So congratulations to Councilmember Newberry. Mr. Russo, you want to introduce your...
Yes, my grandson is 6 pounds, 1 ounce, and he is called Levi, is his name, and he calls his grandfather Sir. Just as his other grandchildren do.
Look all Blackman's politics. I'm sure he's in line. All right. The only comment I have is I want to thank Director Epley and Superintendent Scott Russo and whoever else was involved in removing the DA's building from Avenue G and Main Street. That's a long overdue project. We fought to get that thing removed for many, many years. It was an eyesore. It's opened up a great opportunity for us to park in. I believe that the other building, the small pumpkin, has been relocated as well for use for the fire department on the East Bank. So they have a location for their personnel and staff. So thanks for that. And let's just keep up the good work with that. Thanks. Any questions for the President or his administration?
Yes, Mr. Black?
Yeah. Mr.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I don't know if President Lapine, did you mention about the Port Sulphur Jail, the opening of it?
Yes, sir, Mr. LaFrance. Sheriff Turlidge and I toured it about a week ago, and they all starting to occupy it now. So
Okay, I didn't know if you had mentioned
yes,
it.
we did. We had a tour of it.
Okay, great.
Hopefully we only tour it, not sitting inside
Well,
of
I don't want to stay there.
it. Mr. Henry?
Yes. I want to congratulate President Lapine. The last council meeting, I didn't really get it, but I came down there personally today to congratulate you for signing the contract to close the pavilion. And one thing I want to ask, when it's completed, would you have a public grand opening there? Because, man, that's been needed for a while. I want to congratulate you on it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Will do.
All right, let's move to beer and liquor license, Mr. Albro. Mr. Russo? Don't have any, Mr. LaFrance?
I have one. It's for Nolan Anchorlord, address 28698 Highway 23, Port Sulphur. It's a chili cook-off for the Night of Columbus. And it's on March the 24th, 2019.
Mr. Blank?
I have none.
Dr.
None.
Bush? All right, so you want to offer that, Mr. LaFrance? I'll second.
So offered.
Any questions, comments? All right, with none, machines open. On the one special event, or liquor license. And that passes 7-0. All right, 4A, anybody have any objection to taking A1 through 8 in Globo? All right, with none, Ms. Marcotte, 1 through 8.
1, Chevron Ornite Company, LLC, application number 2018-840, dated November 30, 2018. Install one permanent monitor well, 10285 Highway 23 South, Belle Chase, Councilmember Newberry. Number 2, Phillips 66 Alliance Refinery, application number 2018-874, dated December 20, 2018. Install 66 12-inch by 80-foot long steel pipe piles to support an industrial foundation, Alliance Refinery, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 3, Chevron Ornite Company, LLC, application number 2019-46, dated January 16, 2019. Install 3 permanent monitor wells, 10285 Highway 23 South, Belle Chase, Councilmember Newberry. Dimension Energy Company, LLC, application number 2019-59, dated January 23, 2018. Install 1 2-inch pipeline and 2 3-inch pipelines, Breton Sound area, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 5, Phillips 66 Alliance Refinery, application number 2019-17, dated January 4, 2019. Install 11 12-inch steel piles and associated concrete foundation, 15551 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 6, Hillcore Energy Company, application number 2019-109, dated February 13, 2019. Dredge for access re-entry for 4 existing well locations and install 2 production barges and 4 6-inch flow lines, Bay Chelan area, Councilmember Blink. Number 7, Hillcore Energy Company, application number 2019-110, dated February 13, 2019. Install 4-inch flow line, Zinzin Bay area, Councilmember Kognovich. And number 8, S2 Energy Operating LLC, application number 2018-541, dated July 25, 2018. Install 2-inch pipeline, Coquille Bay area, Councilmember Bartholomew.
Would anybody like to offer?
I offer.
Mr. LaFrance offers, second by Mr. Albro. Any questions or comments? Machine's open. Passes 5-0 with 2 abstentions, myself and Mr. Kognovich. Any objections to taking B, C, D, and E in Globo? All right, with none, we'll move to B, C, D, and E.
B, Redfish Factory LLC, Anthony Randazzo, final approval for new trailer park for 4 spaces, 37813 A-D, Highway 23, Triumph, Louisiana, Councilmember Kognovich. C, Myrtle Grove Marina, new boat sheds in a floodplain zoning district, 121 Marina Lane, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana, Councilmember LaFrance. D, Myrtle Grove Marina, new boat sheds in a floodplain zoning district, 123 Marina Lane, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana, Councilmember LaFrance. E, the Blitz Sports Bar, business occupancy, 35927 Highway 23, Buras, Louisiana, Councilmember Blank.
Anybody like to offer?
I'll offer.
Mr. Kognovich offers, that's for a second. Mr. Albro seconds. Any questions or comments? Machine is open. Passes 7-0. Let's move real quick to 6A2. Go ahead.
In ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Kelly Hasney, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown in a map of re-subdivision in undesignated lot into lots H1, H2, and H3, Louisiana, by McKay and Associates LLC, dated August 16, 2018, revised October 9, 2018. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer.
That's for a second. Mr. Albro seconds. Any questions or comments from the audience? From the table? None? Machine's open. Passes 7-0. Ms. Amitra, is that all you have? Yes, sir. Go back to work. Bye. Mr. Lepine, can you go back to work? All right, let's, if you don't mind, let's move to the Care Center, which is item P. 6P, please.
In ordinance to amend the 2019 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Community Programs Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'm going to offer with changes. You have the changes, Ms. Marcotte?
No, sir.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, the changes are adding the following text. Whereas it is necessary for the parish resources to continue to fund the Care Center in order for the Care Center to receive the LA Safe grant. Whereas the Plaquemines Parish Sheriff's Office has contributed $25,000 for 2019 for use in Care Center community mental health programs. And whereas the Plaquemines Parish School Board has contributed $30,000 for 2019 for use in the Care Center community mental health programs, and whereas the Plaquemines Parish government appropriating $50,000 for use in the Care Center community mental health programs in the original 2019 budget, and whereas the Plaquemines Parish government is contributing an additional $95,000 for 2019 for use in the Care Center community mental health programs, making the total contributions from parish sources $200,000. Under Section 1, line 26, it'll read as follows. Amended by appropriating $95,000 from the Extension Peters Road Bypass Project as follows, and on line 33, adding the amount of $95,000.
With that, I'll offer. Ask for a second. Ms. Alderman seconds. All right, so as you know, we had a presentation last week, and I think for the council members who were not there, Mr. Forbes sent an email out describing some of the things that took place. Basically, just to give a recap, historically, the Plaquemines Parish government, through the council, budgets $200,000 a year as a grant to the Care Center to help supplement the programs that they provide to the citizens of Plaquemines Parish. The Care Center was awarded a grant of approximately $1.8 million, 1.8 something, some change, $1 million, which is over a few-year period. The Office of Community Development has since said that because of the council's actions in 2018 to not fully fund that historical grant of $200,000 and only do it for $50,000 based on the information that we received during the 2018 budget hearing, that they would get a grant, then disqualified them essentially for the grant because they have rules which includes supplanting. And supplanting is basically if the government is using outside funds, other funds, to supplement the funds that would typically come from the local government. So with that, OCD has come to us, and so has the Care Center Director Olson, and said, you know, please would you replenish the remaining $150,000 in order for us to still receive the $1.85 million grant. So we've asked the council to look around. I was able to talk to OCD, the school board this year, put in $30,000 contribution for programs in the Care Center, which is a parish government entity. I spoke to the sheriff, and one of his representatives here. We want to thank the sheriff's office and Sheriff Turtledge for his contribution. He has decided to contribute $25,000 towards the Care Center and the programs that they offer, because it definitely affects the way the sheriff's office does business. And you add that to the $50,000 that we appropriated, it left us with a remainder of $95,000 to come up with. I spoke to finance and the parish attorney, and the parish attorney has met with the folks who are overseeing the funding for the Peters Road Bypass project. They had around $400,000 and some change in that particular project. Mr. Burris asked if the $95,000 would affect that project at all, or any of the matching for the parish government. It does not. If you have any questions about that, Mr. Burris, I'm sure can elaborate a little bit further, but that's where the additional $95,000 is coming from. The question has been brought up of whether or not this is going to be, you know, recurring. The answer to that is it's kind of unknown, really, because Representative Leopold is working with Health and Human Services to obtain other funding, and that's kind of in the works, but it's not going to happen this year. For us to at least get the grant for this year, we're going to have to come up with that extra $95,000. Another thing is it's not that we're really, we've historically given $200,000. So this isn't new money. It's not money that, you know, we're coming up with every year. It's something we've historically done, although it does come from the general fund and it does hurt our budget, but it's something that I believe, and I'm sure other council members believe, that it's necessary for the health and mental health of our youth in this parish. With that, that's the explanation of it. That's where the money's coming from. I'll open it up to the table for anybody that has any questions or comments. We have Ms. Olson, we have folks from OCD in the grant program in the audience for any questions. Anybody have any questions from the table?
I do. I do.
Mr. Russo.
Yes, I'd like to, Mr. Burris, to elaborate on the Peters Road project and the funds that are there and that we're taking the funds from.
When it was first approached about using the funds out of Peters Road project, I spoke to finance and also called Ms. Mona Nasari, who works for GCR, who's handling the right-of-way acquisitions for the project, and also called Bruce Badon, who is the BKI engineer for the project. What they told me was that the project had been stalled for a while because of the parish financial system, and that's why I think finance first suggested this project. And Ms. Nasaria confirmed, and I think with your help, Mr. Roussel, the legislature had appropriated funding, basically what was to be our 20% match for the remaining acquisitions that needed to be done. So the legislature's appropriated roughly $400,000 to go ahead and conclude the remaining properties that need to be acquired for the project. And so she said that the only thing that parish funds would need to be available for would be kind of any overage that might take place, that the priority one funds that were appropriated by the state would not cover, but she's pretty confident with their estimations and what the state has provided that there'll be more than enough money to cover any potential overages. I also spoke to Mr. Badon, and Mr. Badon said that his only concern was that for Phase 3, for the permitting process, that there might have been some fees associated with permitting in Phase 3. The original ordinance appropriated, I think, $90,000 for permitting. So even with the $95,000 reduction, you still have $300,000 remaining in the project that should be more than enough to cover any permitting fees necessary for the project and any potential overages that might take place through the acquisition process.
So you feel comfortable that the project will not be jeopardized by removing this $95,000 and that we can move forward with the project now?
Yes, sir. Yes, that was Ms. Nasaria's. Both Mr. Badon and Ms. Mona both confirmed that for me, because obviously this project has started and stopped multiple times, and we didn't want that to continue again. So that's what they assured me, and that's the best advice I have at this time.
And my only other concern, and I understand that the care center is very important. I know that the parish taxpayers have invested over $3 million in this program in the last 10 years. And I understand that it was supposed to be seed money. My concern is that we don't know what next year will bring. And I did hear some conversation about Mr. Leopold trying to find some other funding. If Mr. Leopold is successful, will that funding be able to be used? And if this government doesn't have the funds to move forward, will that also be considered as surplanting?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question
Pat
is
Forbes, Louisiana Office of Community Development.
The question is that we are looking for other funding, and Mr. Leopold is assisting in trying to get some funding. If that funding comes through and the government is not able to budget this item next year, will that jeopardize the grant and be considered as surplanting?
You mean if the state funding comes through and you're able to back your money out? No, the HUD's requirement is irrespective of the non-federal source. In other words, we don't care. So the state funds would be fine. Our grant would be able to continue as long as there was that same level of non-federal funding.
And do we know what that total number is of non-federal funding in that department?
Well, it's $200,000 as set by the previous budgets of the parish.
Okay. So, I mean, that's the limit. So other than that, if we have state funds of $200,000 next year, then that'll be working fine.
Yes, it will not matter the non-federal source of the $200,000. If you change your source to be in state funds, that's fine.
All right, thank you, Mr. Forbes. Any other comments from the table?
Right, over here.
Mr. Blank?
I just, want to take a moment to acknowledge, first why LA Safe was created, and it was because Plaquemines is under some stresses. We've had a good bit of population from the lower end of the parish that has had to relocate in the northwestern quadrant. And this particular thing, what's going on here, we're having to use money for the Peters Road bypass project, which is to, help make the parish transportation corridors more efficient. I just want to connect these dots here and how, we are having issues, and in all these things are sort of interconnected, and I want to point that out. Thanks.
I think point well taken.
Thank you.
Mr. Forbes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, machine is open. And it passes 7-0. I want to thank all the council members for supporting this, and thank Ms. Olson and OCD for, I know a lot of folks came down from Alexandria, so thank you for coming down. This is very well worth it, and spend it wisely, Ms. Olson. You can help some kids. Thanks. All right, let's move back to introductions of ordinances and resolutions. Mr. Albro. Dr. Gui. Mr. Russo.
A resolution to establish a records retention schedule for parish government and to provide for related matters. In order to amend and as amended, re-adopt Rule 4, 5, and 6 in Chapter 2 of Section 2-18 of the Code of Ordinances for Plaquemines Parish relative to the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Is that all?
That's all.
All right, I have a couple. An ordinance to amend the 2019 Road Maintenance Fund manpower and operating revenue and expenditure budgets, road maintenance, public right-of-way department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing and directing the parish government to prepare and submit a pre-application to the statewide flood control program for assistance in the implementation of a project for the purpose of reducing existing flood damages, providing for the necessary documentation of said flood damages, and to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to rescind, annul, and set aside ordinance number 09227, assigning office space consisting of a double-wide trailer owned by the Plaquemines Parish government to be placed in the parking lot behind the Sheriff's Office building on Main Street, Belchase, for the Plaquemines Parish Public Defender's Office and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing office space at 301 Main Street, Belchase, Louisiana, to the Plaquemines Parish Public Defender's Office and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of a portion of Tract 5E, Belchase Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plat of survey of Cypress Park Subdivision, Phase 1A, by Bramham and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated February 5th, 2019. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision, re-subdivision ordinance of Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or Parish of Plaquemines, and to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the F. Edward Hebert realignment to LA 406 project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Chairman W. Bo Black on behalf of Plaquemines Parish Council to direct the Special Counsel Danny P. Garrett III to respond to any petition filed by the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, the port, regarding seeking a final declaratory judgment from the appropriate court as to legal source of the port's judicial, organizational, governance authority, and whether such source emanates from the Louisiana Constitution and Louisiana Revised Statute 34.1351 or from the Plaquemines Parish Charter for Self-Government. That's all. Mr. LaFrance?
I have several for Mr. Bartholomew. A resolution for the establishment of an account with Regis Bank for the payment in lieu of taxes receipts and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2019 Road Maintenance Fund manpower and operating revenue and expenditure budget, road maintenance, public right-of-way department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2019 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, swimming pool, day event department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to withdraw one. This one was for the port, I'm sorry. A resolution for the establishment of an account with Regis Bank for the payment in lieu of taxes received and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Blink?
Hold on, I'm not.
I'm
finished,
sorry.
Mr. This is for District 7. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the Civic Drive Fishing Pier project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Glenn and Sandra Flemings, Plaquemine Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the map of re-subdivision of Glenn and Sandra Fleming into the lots F1 and F2 Hermitage Village by Brandon Hammett and Association, certified by Hugh McCordy III, PLS, dated January the 14th, 2019, revised on January the 28th, 2019, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Plaquemine Parish without cost to the Plaquemine Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemine, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Blink? Ms. Stoyanovich?
A resolution to annul, rescind, and set aside resolution number 15-381 and resolution number 16-105. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, move to item 6B, please.
A resolution to establish a policy of Plaquemines Parish government with regard to public records requests and to provide for related matters.
I'll offer a substitution, please. It was requested by the Council Secretary to do substitution. Mr. Russo. I passed them out, and I apologize. For this last minute, they negotiated this at the last second. If I get a second on the substitution, we can open it for discussion. I get a second on the substitution.
Second.
Second, Mr. Kognovich. All right, I'll pass the substitution out. It's open for a vote. We're not going to vote yet, but we're going to have some discussion. Danny Garrett, our attorney, is going to speak on this. I asked last year when we were getting an influx of public information requests that we develop a policy, a formalized policy. And when Mr. Burris came in office, took over as the parish attorney, he looked at the resolution as proposed by Mr. Garrett, and they got together and made these changes. They worked for a few weeks on this, and I think this morning pretty much came up with an agreement and had this printed out. So that's why you're receiving the substitution on the day of the council meeting. I don't like doing that, but this is something that I think that the parish attorney and Mr. Garrett are keen to get done and work pretty hard to get those done. So I want to just open it up to you, Mr. Garrett, first, and then Mr. Burris.
Yeah, the point was to make sure that sort of everybody knew what the process was, and we had a consistent process that complied with the law and also went beyond what technically is required by the law, because a lot of it is just procedural. So there's a number of provisions in there that actually parrot the actual law, but then there's also process issues and setting out a formal public records request form, therefore to make it easier for the public so you're not getting random documents, setting forth a process when the custodian receives it of how they proceed along, particularly when the public records request includes council member emails, because those are kind of kept in a couple of different places, and wanted to make sure council members were aware when the IT department was going through and doing a term search in their email addresses to comply. Also to establish a cost sheet for public records request, and that was one of the changes that was made, is that it's going to be a separate document, so it's it's kind of like a fee schedule, so that if y'all ever need to adjust the fee schedule, you don't have to amend the whole resolution, you just adjust the fee schedule. And also just clarifying sort of who was going to serve as the custodian for records, because y'all do have kind of two separate pieces, the administration in some respects and the council in others. And certainly, Mr. Burris can go further.
And just to follow up on the fee schedule, I did introduce, under suspension of the rules, that particular fee schedule. This is separate from this resolution, so there'll be two resolutions if this one decides to move forward with it. There is a fee schedule under suspension at the request of Mr. Burris and Mr. Garrett. Mr. Burris, you have any comments?
No, not really. I think more or less what Mr. Garrett had said. You have two issues. You have duties and responsibilities, and you have process and procedure. So as it relates to duties and responsibilities, I simply recited what the state statute is, because that's the law. And so that's what you see in the first two be it resolved paragraphs. And then lastly, as Mr. Garrett said, we discussed process. So the process now is, one, we created a public records request email that'll be put on the parish website. So hopefully we can direct our constituents to that email, which will go straight to legal. However, any member of the public has a right to approach any department of government and request documents. That's their right under the statute. And so what we did was create a procedure whereby the custodian would approach legal and ask legal what they think about it, and if there's any exceptions, because there are some exceptions and exemptions and some privacy issues, and so we'll take a look at what the requester is asking for and make sure that it's something that is a public record to be turned over. And so we put that legal protection in place, and basically that's it. The other thing is we put in here that the parish state law allows us to collect reasonable fees and compensation for public records and press. Of course, it depends on how voluminous it is. It depends on how many records we're talking about and whether or not we're making photocopies. So went ahead and put that basically, if at any point the custodian thinks the production of the records is going to exceed $25, whether that be through copies or whether that be through manpower to make that request, that be prepaid by the requester. And it's my belief under reading state law that is that's appropriate. And I'll answer any questions.
Mr. Russo?
Yes, under the line 21 of the public body and the definitions that it describes means any branch, department, office, agency, board, commission, district, governing authority, political subdivision, or any committee, subcommittee, etc. Does that include the port?
Well, this resolution is only applicable to the Plaquemines Parish government, in my mind, not the port. Now, if the port wants to, adopt the same rules and processes, then they can do that. Clearly, if a public records request comes to Mr. Sanders, he's not going to send it to me for me to review. So if you all want to adopt that for the port, then certainly that's appropriate. And just so you know, Mr. Roussel, the port has to follow state law anyway, and this is basically reciting state law. So regardless of what this resolution says, the port has to follow it.
Well, look, when you say the port has to follow state law, don't we all have to follow state law?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. I realize I'm stating the obvious, but this is what I've done in the resolution is recite it. This is policies and procedures for Plaquemines Parish government, not the port.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the audience?
Oh, Bill.
Sorry. Mr. Blank?
Sure. Rennie, I've noticed Kim and Barb worked for many hours trying to gather, information for public requests. Do the fees in your opinion, do they do a good job of balancing the time that they're spending on that, the time that they're off task, handling that with accessibility to the public?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident now. As the chairman said, we have a fee schedule we've adopted, and I basically adopted the fee schedule that the Division of Administration has at the state. So, obviously, if it's good enough for the Division of Administration at the state, I think it's good enough for us.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, from the audience? All right, with none? Open for a vote, please. Can you clear the machine? All right, 7-0, passes. Thank you all for the work, guys. With that, I want to move to, while we're on the same topic, 7A1. This is the suspension that was provided. This is the fee schedule. I'm sorry. Let me reflect for the record, that was 6-0 with one abstention from District 7. 6-0, one abstention from 7.
7A1. A res- Introduction of resolution where suspension is being sought. A resolution to establish a public records request form and uniform fee schedule and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer for suspension. Ask for a second. Dr. Gouy seconds.
I'm looking for the copy of it. We don't have a copy.
Do we have a copy of the fee schedule?
None of us have.
I got it. Hold on. Here you go. Mr. Burris, you need one? You got one? All right, any questions or comments on the suspension itself? From the table, from the audience? All right, with none, machines open on the suspension. It passes 7-0. We move to the resolution itself.
A resolution to establish a public records request form and uniform fee schedule and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer. Ask for a second. Dr. Gouy? All right, any questions or comments? Everybody has the copy of the fee schedule? And this is something that's been worked on between Mr. Burris and Mr. Garrett for state law? All right, any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, machine is open. And it passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, let's move to item L, please.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan for the new construction Boothville Venice Community Center project and the 2019 general fund revenue budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Kognovich.
I'll offer.
Second by Mr. Blink. Any comments, Mr. Kognovich?
As read.
As read, any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, machine's open.
Hold on. I have a question.
Hold on, Mr. LaFrance has a question. Mr. LaFrance?
Is this the final payment?
No, this is the $900,000 from the settlement that's going into the project that we settled on.
Yes, sir. This is the final proceeds from the lawsuit that the council had previously approved.
And this is all the money that they had got from the insurance?
I'm sorry, sir?
Yes, it was $900,000. It was $1 million policy. We got $900,000.
Correct.
There was other money.
No, there were other funds collected prior to this new government. This is just the final payment. So I don't have the project worksheet in front of me, but that would tell you the total funds in the project.
Machine's open, Mr. LaFrance. It passes 7-0. Item M, please.
In order to provide the acceptance of donations by the Fort Jackson Museum and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Kokrovich,
I have a
amendment?
amendment.
Changes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Roussel and Mr. Surpass and I talked about it, and Tommy agreed on line 13.
Ms. Barber, you have
Barbara
the
has
changes
the-
on 13?
Yes, sir. I don't have a change on line 13, but I have changes on line 15, 16, and 19.
Yes, ma'am.
On line 15, section 2 begins on line 15 and shall read, "All monetary donations must be delivered to the finance department for processing and recording and will be utilized for the purchase, acquisition, and procurement of items for exhibit, content care, and expansion." Removing section C, which is also including line 19, and changing section 4 to section 3.
And I'll offer.
With that, the office, seconded by Mr. Roussel. Mr. Gu, you have a,
Just, should we say on line 17 for the procurement of items of exhibit, constant care, and expansion of Fort Jackson Museum?
Yeah.
Mr. Russo removes a second. Mr. Kokrovich, you want to add that?
Yes.
And how about for the fort itself? The Fort Jackson Museum and Fort Jackson?
That's up to,
If we can, yeah, if we get any
Aye.
donations for the fort.
Yeah.
so line 17, you going to add what, Mr. Gui?
Fort Jackson and Fort Jackson Museum, and/or.
Okay, with that change, you offer, Mr. Kokrovich?
Yes.
Offered, seconded by Mr. Russo. Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? Aye, with none, machines open. Thank you, Ms. Kokrovich. Passes 7-0. Item N, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2019 structure and operating expenditure budget, Boat Harbors and Shipyards Fund, Boat Harbors Bureau's Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Kokrovich.
I'll offer.
Offer, ask for a second. Second, Mr. Russo. Any comments, Mr. Kokrovich?
Offer is ready.
As read, any comments from the table? From the audience? With no questions? Machines open. Ordinance passes 7-0. R, please, I'm sorry, Q, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2019 general fund revenue budget and operating expenditure budget, Parish President Department, and the 2019 road maintenance fund operating expenditure budget, road maintenance public right-of-way department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer and ask for a second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Kokrovich. Basically, this is Ms. Hilda Lott is trying to close out an LGAP grant using remaining funds for equipment. I think it's a total of $11,500. We're going to Q. It's an LGAP closeout. $11,500 to close it out. They're using $99,000 for tools and equipment and $2,500 for on vehicles.
So they're closing it out.
Yeah, it's going to be a closeout. This was the remaining funds in that particular LGAP. Any questions, comments from the table? Any from the audience? Aye, with none, machines open. And that passes 7-0. Let's go to R, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2019 general fund operating expenditure budget, Legal Judgments Department, for settlement of case number 64-309, 25th JDC Division B, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer as read. Second by Mr. Albro. Basically, this is the one we discussed in executive session about a month ago. It is the closeout of the Building 800 case. And thank you, Mr. Burris, for using the $40,000 for the settlement from your professional services. This is to close out another case that was inherited by
Is it building 800?
Building 800, yeah, in the government complex. Any questions, comments from the table? From the audience? With that, hearing's open. Passes 7-0. All right, if we'll move now to item C, Mr. Kainovich, District 9 update.
Yes, I got my list here today. I talked to Don, he says they're supposed to be doing Gober Lane today or tomorrow, so I appreciate that. Have a problem with a DOT, if we could get them down here one day. There's a driveway with a sinkhole in it, and they agreed to just dig it out and leave it, so the property owner has no way to get to his trailer unless he pays for a culvert, which they put there to start with, DOTD.
Excuse me, Mr. Cognovich, he's not picking you up on his equipment. Can you speak a little louder?
DOTD, you know, they just want to dig a ditch and leave it like that. And, they put the original pipe in 60, they redid it in 84, and now they're saying it doesn't serve them a purpose, so they don't want to replace it. And they have many other problems throughout my district that DOTD needs to fix. The lights at both boat harbors have numerous lights out at each one of them. The oyster shell project, I talked to Mr. Helmer about it already, and oyster shells are still going out. I put a lock on the gate and somebody cut it. So, YMCA pool, I got 4 quotes on it, and the cheapest one is just to lay cement. To replace the pavers like they have now, it goes from 79 to 68,000. Don't know where we're getting it from, but want to just let everybody know that since we've been in the museum, 86 people visited from Hong Kong, Germany, Switzerland, Alaska, and throughout the United States. So I think, you know, it puts a light on us, you know, people could see. That's about it.
Sorry. Will you yell at me?
Mr. Black?
Yeah, Mr.
Mr. Kainovich, we will request a meeting with DOTD on site, so I'll get that, and when our schedules will coincide, we'll get that scheduled.
All right.
Okay? And we'll look at some of these other issues too. Of course,
Thanks.
the YMC pool, you got money, I'd love to have some.
Me too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'd also like to thank the couple people that showed up to the Croatian American Heritage. It was a real good time. Had 500 people at least. And next year, I invite y'all to come again. Next month, March 23rd, is the Ducks Unlimited banquet at the Buros Auditorium, and I'll invite everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kainovich. Item E, District 7 update, Ms. LaFrance.
Again, Mr. Kainovich, where you say these people was from that visit?
Hong Kong, Germany, Switzerland, Alaska, and throughout the United States.
Bell Chase.
Bell Chase, California, all
Wow.
over.
That's awesome.
It was good.
The YMCA in Port Selfa, currently we have 3 air conditioners that are out. We're looking for money to repair or replace them. To fix them, you're looking at $42,000, or to have them brand new, about $114,000. The wharf on Grand Bayou is complete. Madea Construction, they did a great job. I know the people from Grand Bayou is grateful, and they are going to enjoy this for many years to come. the Post Alpha Library, the concrete has been poured on the first floor for over a month. Since then, I saw very little action. I know they just set up a crane this week, but there still isn't any steel on the site. And I know they probably planning on coming toward this council and ask for some liquidated damages. I would like to thank Todd Epley and Greg Ingraham, Solid Waste South. I had a complaint about some of the branches that was blocking the path of some of our school buses, and their crew went out and trimmed them back. They did a fine job. I would like to thank Don Beschel and Brad Brooks. I had some grass and brush and trees that needed to be cut on the old Post Alpha Hospital site, and they came out and they cut half. They did a fine job, and they told me they had to need a different cutter to come out and cut up the rest, and so I'm looking forward to that. I would like to thank the ditch bank crew for coming out and cutting the ditch around the YMCA. I would like to thank Tony Henry and crew for the work that they did around the YMCA playground equipment, making it available for our kids. We also did a walkthrough around our pool. Same things, damages that we have over there, cracks in the pool, pumps that's out, and we need to get it ready for our swimming season. With that report, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. LaFrance. Any questions or comments for Mr. LaFrance? For District 7?
If we don't get the pools fixed, they lose out on a Shell grant to teach water safety to the kids.
Okay. Might know somebody at Shell. All right. Thank you, Mr. Godovich. G, let's move to G real quick.
District 8 update.
Sure. There's 2 neighborhood meetings coming up in District 8. One is going to be Thursday, March 23rd in the evening. Time and location yet to be determined. And the other is going to be April 18th. The Empire Park should be open by the summer. Ongoing work to the splash pad is holding up the opening right now. In regard to the park near Ollie Drive, when the park was established, the family donating the land held on to certain legal rights. Those rights have led to legal questions, making improvements by Plaquemines Parish government difficult at this moment. I think we're in the process of resolving some of those so the residents can begin to enjoy that park. The Taylor Energy leak. So 14 years ago during Hurricane Ivan, a platform off the coast of South Pass was lost. Since that time, there's been an ongoing oil leak that is almost the size of the BP oil spill. Recently, the U.S. Coast Guard has tasked a local company with containing that long-going oil spill. I'm going to update y'all when the leak is secured out there. And I'd like to ask the administration to have the Coastal Zone Department, hey John, to look into any available NERDA money, that's Natural Resource Damage Assessment Funds. If any of that oil has impacted the marshes there, we're the parish closest to the spill, and I hope with a little research that if any money is spent on remediating any damage to marsh, it can be spent here. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments from Mr. Blank or District 8? All right, with none, let's go back to F, please.
Discussion regarding resolution number 16-234, authorizing the president to conduct an inventory of all the buildings located in the government complex on F. Edward Aver Boulevard and to seek proposals for rental/lease purposes of those buildings which will not be used by the parish government. Councilmember Roussel.
Mr. Roussel.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, when you were sitting on the council, we passed this resolution trying to get the administration to address some of the buildings and the properties that are located in that vicinity. And I brought it up today to refresh your memory and put it on your agenda to try to find someone to market that property. I think that you can find a realtor or somebody to be able to put that out there and let people know that it's available. We have a lot of vacant ground, so we can offer green space or we can offer renovations. But I think that we have a great asset that we need to try to commercialize and try to monetize some funding to be able to help with the government. So I just wanted to raise that issue and ask you to move in that direction.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Russo, and we will. We will try to identify what's good, what's bad, and try to market what we can. And absolutely.
I want to add to that. I want to echo Mr. Russo's sentiments on it. And I know Mr. Ligas is here in the audience, and he and I have walked through with some other folks pretty much every one of those buildings. And there are some that are salvageable. I did a walkthrough with Mr. Epley about a week or so ago with the judges from Division A and B on a potential for that building. That building was used post-Katrina. We did a minor assessment, and I think for a minimal fee, we could probably get that building back in operation. As far as the other buildings go, I think Mr. Russo set up and get somebody out there. It would probably be free of charge for them to do an assessment to if they were able to lead to, I guess, be the agent of record to lease the property. So
we'll get somebody to do an analysis of it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. DeGuy?
Also, Mr. Lapine, we had Mr. Kaplinger did a study of that area for retail space back, well, had to be 6, 7, 8 years ago. If we have that, we ought to take a look at that so we don't have to duplicate any efforts. And it may not even be in line with what we're asking, but I remember a presentation he made to us about some of the property and its uses, ingress and egress with roads and things like that. So, you remember that, Randy? Mr. Kaplinger.
It was a report?
Yeah, he did. And he made a presentation to us. This is before we did anything back there. This was kind of in the planning process.
It might have been before my time, I'm not sure, but
we can always call
I'll
him.
speak to Dana and try to look in the files and see if we can find something.
We can call him, too.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments about that? Any further ones from the audience? All right, with none, I want to move back real quick to item G, 6G, please.
A resolution appointing the members of the Plaquemines Recreation Advisory Committee and otherwise to be filed with respect thereto.
I'll offer for discussion purposes only. Ask for a second. Mr. Conover, seconds. All right. So I promised that I would have this discussion today and defer it for the next 2 weeks so we can fill these positions. I want everybody just to go and take a look at that particular, on the council, that advisory committee, and get back with me in my office and see if we can make any changes to it. If we want to put some teeth in the committee itself to have some type of authority, we'd have to, of course, revise that to have it reflect as an ordinance. And then, well, there is an ordinance done creating the committee. We'd have to amend that ordinance, but then appoint folks to the advisory committee. I want to say, just like I said before, pick people that's going to go to the committee meetings and have some serious input, not just friends or a family trying to do a favor for it. We need people really that can actually give some input to the director of recreation and to the president's office and get back to the council. So I just wanted to bring that up, and like I said, I'm looking into maybe giving the committee some teeth. We'd have to amend the ordinance. So if you have any ideas, go back, look at the ordinance, and get with me within the next couple weeks so we can hash this out and do something good for the parish and the recreation department. Any questions or comments on that? None. Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, with none, I'll defer that item, and I will move to the final item, item H.
Discussion by Ken Ragus of Coastal Restoration and the 2023 Louisiana Master Plan. Councilmember Kognovich.
Mr. Kognovich. All right, Mr. Ragus.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you all for letting me speak on coastal restoration. The CPRA recently called for restoration projects for inclusion in the 2023 State Master Plan. The deadline is March 1st, which is tomorrow. Bill Bubrick, who's on the CPR board, tried to get that date extended, but was unsuccessful. Last week, I emailed the parish with several projects to see if they could be included in the parish's submission for the 2023 plan. I attended the CCM group meeting last Monday, and at that meeting I was told that my projects could not be submitted by the parish because the parish council would have to appropriate funds to cover expenses incurred in developing projects for the plan. I was allowed to speak there and present the projects that I submitted to the CPRA. Couple of y'all were at the meeting. Mr. Blink and Mr. Burris was there. And also at that meeting, there was also some discussion on the Mississippi River diversions. I submitted several projects to the CPRA and have received confirmation that they were received and will be considered for inclusion in the 2023 plan. They were essentially bare bones submissions, which I have a couple slides on them. The first slide is for three, well, you see the A, B, and C. The A is a ridge restoration project for Grand Bayou. This is Empire. The B is a ridge restoration project for Bayou Long, or the deep water channel. That probably may be deleted because that was in the 2012 plan, and it was kicked out when the 2017 plan came in, so I'm not sure about that one. Item C is ridge restoration on Dry Cypress Bayou, and this green area right here is a restoration project that has been completed on Bayou Grande Deliord. So can you go to the next slide, please? The major loss of marshland in this area, which the three projects were put in, was caused by the, this was the Barra Pit Canal, this yellow line. In 1974, that was dredged by the Corps of Engineers. That is a 17-mile long canal, 400 foot wide and 60 foot deep. It was 33.3 million cubic yards of marsh inside the 40-yard line was dredged to use to build up the back levee in that area. Since that time, approximately 25 square miles of marshland has eroded and filled in that canal. That is a major cause of loss in the Beers Bays area. A lot of people don't know that. The CPRA kind of says it was subsidence. But the canal in front of Joshua's Marina in Beerus is now 5 foot deep, and it was 160 foot by 400 foot wide. So, you know, a lot went on there that people are not aware of. Could you show the next slide, please? Okay, this is a project for the Beerus Boat Harbor region. This is the harbor. This is an area right south of the harbor, bordering a CAP project was completed in 2014. The ridge route here. This, what's happening here and here, is the marsh has receded back, and the water's almost lapping against the back levee. Now, I also heard that the Corps may be doing something with rocking the back levee in these areas. I'm not sure of that, but this would offer protection for the back levee and also protection for the vessels in the boat harbor. Next slide, please. Okay, I went ahead and submitted projects for a total levee system from, I'm not sure, okay, this one is from Ostrika to Fort St. Philip. This one is from Fort St. Philip down to a canal right up in here. And this goes further down. Could you do the next slide, please? This is from, this is from continuing down to Batuscalette Pass. So I submitted projects for a levee or a ridge to fight storm surge that emanates from Breton Sound and is the major cause of destruction from the hurricanes over the last 15, 20 years. Okay, you can go to the next one, please. And the next one. And the next one. Okay. This is, we discussed at the CZM meeting the Mississippi River diversion at Myrtle Grove. I did a comparison here. I talked to the CPRA people, and they said that the width of the proposed diversion is 400 foot wide on the top, tapering down to 200 feet. And so I went down in Venice and located a pass that is comparable to the Mid-Barataria. And you can't hardly see it right here, but this is 396 feet. This is Tiger Pass in Venice. And it is actually right now flowing at a rate of about 50,000 CFS, cubic feet per second. So it's the same width, but a little less. It's 2/3 the flow of what the Mid-Barataria diversion is proposed to be. Could you go to the next one, please? And the next one. This is the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation puts this out every month. And if you look, I'm not sure how they generate all these numbers, but these are the flow rates of all the passes, including even Mardi Gras Pass, So Pass Eleuthera right now is flowing at a rate of about 69,000 cubic feet per second. So that would be comparable to the Mid-Barataria diversion, because it's at 75,000. So a lot of people don't realize the volume that's going to be going through here. Next one, please. Oh, that one's not quite as good. But that one's just talking about the Pass Eleuthera. I was just comparing at the bottom. So that's all on the slides. Thank you. The diversion will be 40-foot deep elevation at the river as it comes up, and it's 25-foot deep through the channel. And that's about it. The only other thing I have to say is that is it possible for the parish to develop a process to review coastal restoration projects submitted by parish stakeholders? I think that that should be looked into. Mr. Blink might want to comment on that. I know that he, at the CZM meeting, he spoke about having subcommittees or some type of mechanism to get input from public landowners and stakeholders. So you might tell them too about the oyster show. Oh, you did? Did you tell them about the oyster show programs in the Empire area?
Yeah, I'm not sure about what you're referring to with the oyster shell, but in regard to having a sort of good, inclusive planning around coastal restoration, what's happened over the last 50 years or so is power has been concentrated at the state and federal levels. There's a lot of reasons for it. We don't have to go into that now just for the sake of time. But what's going on is, we, the users of the basins who have to deal with them every single day, have very, very little power. Things like the Clean Water Act, which were set up with really good intentions to prevent wetland loss, sometimes make it hard for us to do restoration here. I think there are ways to operate through the existing channels to get public input where everybody has a voice, where a true democratic process is happening. That's ultimately what I would like to see. We have a new coastal director here, John Helmers. He seems, committed to transparency and working with the public. And, I think, we're generally headed in the right direction with that. But, yeah, everybody likes to have their hands on the knob, man. Everybody wants, their voice to be heard. And the users of the basin have a lot of experience out there. Every time, they put a trowel in the water or pick a dredge up, that's a sample coming out of the water. And somebody put it to me really well the other day. They said, every citizen is like a sensor. We need to think about citizen input we need to think about that just as much as scientific input sometimes. There's an incredible amount of knowledge that isn't tapped. And I'll just, for the sake of time, just leave it at that. But I'm not sure what they do on this side. As we move forward, we have a new CZM committee set up. I think there's about half the members are new. I think there's some new blood there. They want to be productive. And the CZM committee was set up for two main things, and that was to make sure coastal restoration dollars come here to be built out so we can protect ourselves, and for conflict mediation. I think that's a really good venue, and there could be some subcommittees where that could happen. John, do you have anything to add?
With the forming of the new CZM board, we brought in people from across the community and the industries, and we welcome, it's an open meeting at all times, and we welcome suggestions as we can start to build this process. We had, which you attended the first meeting, and we would love input from everybody, just like Richie said, everybody's a sensor that's out in the marsh, that's out on the water, that's got information to bring back to us. But this is a new day. I mean, we've been here for 8 weeks, and we're trying to put together some really good projects and taking input. This is just incredible what you have provided for us. So yes, there will be a future to have public stakeholders.
Right. You're doing a good job, John. Thank you all.
All right, Mr. Regis, thank you. One more question from Mr. Rousseau.
Yes, while we're on this subject, tomorrow is the deadline for submission of our plan. Are we submitting one tomorrow, or did we get an extension?
We did not get an extension. We are going to submit what we have, but CPRA has contacted me and said, just submit what you have now, and then you'll have a chance to review, change, or add or retract going forward. But we really need to have these projects submitted so we have a stake in there. These projects should have been developed over a 4 to 5 year period, and we've pulled together what we could in 7 weeks and worked together. We've also, which you were part of, the task force that was put together by BitNEP, Shell, the Water Institute, members of the council and administration. So we probably have another, I want to say it was 23 projects that are coming from the results of that workforce, which these were 2 meetings that were 6 and 7 hour meetings that people really invested their time in to make sure and the Water Institute really did a nice job putting this presentation together, which you will all be privy to here shortly. I'll get a presentation out to each and every one of what you have, and then we can review the current projects we have ready to go. And we do have levy projects included in there.
Okay, could you copy us on the submittal tomorrow? So we'll see what you
Absolutely.
submitted, and
Absolutely.
in the public meetings that we've been in, I noticed you said that, you're not dealing with the levies. So who is dealing with the levies?
Don Beshel, right?
Don Beshel he's not here at the present, but he is he's in charge of levies.
I realize that, but when we go to CPRA is one agency, and the reason they created CPRA was they put Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority together for levees and outside the levees, coastal projects. Now, we seem to be going in that different direction where we're splitting off into two separate heads. I know in the meeting the other day, you said you weren't privy to what the levees were doing, but I think there needs to be communication to be able to work the same plan, so at the end of the day, we're all on the same page. And I'd like to see what the projects are that are being submitted tomorrow.
Absolutely, you'll have it. And Don and I work together, and when we submit, both of the packets go in at one time. He pretty much spearheads that levy part of it, but when it's presented to CPRA, it's presented on the united front from Plaquemines Parish.
But I guess my message is this, that when you go into the public meeting and you don't have somebody there representing the levy piece, it kind of gets left behind. So
Right.
if we're going to have Don over levies and you over outside the levy system, in these meetings, you have to both go then, if you can't speak for levies.
Right, well, that meeting was basically more for coastal than levee protection. I know they talked about it, but those groups that put this workshop on were mainly for outside the levee type folks.
I think he means just in general.
Yes, no, in general, no, I understand.
I think there's a really great opportunity. If reorganizing of the government is being looked at, we have a floodplain manager who handles things like home elevation grants and things like that, a levy department or a land department that handles levies, and a coastal zone department. At minimum, just meeting, staying on the same page, because, for instance, if homes are elevated in one area, maybe the levy doesn't have to be as high. If there's a really good coastal restoration project, maybe we don't need to elevate the homes. I think now is a perfect time to just kind of think about it a little bit.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because we are doing that right now. We are trying to consolidate departments and make a coastal flood levy department.
Almost like a resiliency director.
Well,
that
we're working on
oversees
that
those
now.
three things.
So we're trying to get on the same page and get a coastal flood levy and consolidate drainage, flood control, and what was the drainage? Flood control and heavy equipment, and make a levy department. So we are working on that, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, with none, move to the minutes, please.
Approval of the minutes from the February 14, 2019 council meeting.
Offer by Mr. Russo, second by Mr. Blank. Any questions, comments? Machines open. Passes 7-0. Ms. Kotovich offers to adjourn. Mr. Albro seconds. Machines open. Means adjourned 7-0 at 4:13. The ferry is open, running, no fog. 4:30 in Point LaHash.